Coming out of the discussions that we had this morning, there's a lot of interest in metadata, and what we're gradually recognising the need for more improved metadata around the country. Even just that little discussion you had just now was saying, well, we've got some information and I'll tell you about it. And the question is, what's the formal way of telling somebody that something exists and giving them information like restrictions for access and the levels of detail and stuff like that. This last 12 months, I think, has been the biggest year for metadata in New Zealand. We've seen the launch of the data.gov.nz website, which is New Zealand trying to play catch up with the United States and Australia, who've put a lot of their government data online and freely available. And of course you can't do that unless you also index it. So that becomes available. Then they saw a large growth in the use of third parties using the data, repurposing it, and often generating quite a lot of economic traffic, as it were, based on those data sets there. So this one is, I would recommend everybody spends an evening just browsing this website, even if only for just discovering how obscure some of the data sets can be. And also, I think if you'll find at the moment is that it's still quite patchy because it relies on people finding these things and getting them into the data system. So I have to put a hand up and say I probably know about half a dozen NIWA data systems that aren't logged on this particular site yet. So this is, you zoom back out again. So depending on your, are we still on? Okay. So Coordinates is a commercial company, but they're very free and open source minded, as it were. So their business model is to be able to sell you some data, but in order to bring people to their site, they have a lot of free data, and they've gone around and gathered up or been donated a lot of map data layers that are of general interest. And some people are saying yesterday that this data would be made available through Coordinates because they've done the work of putting together a repository and a decent search engine, and you can just pick up some very large data files there. They are currently really just a repository, so you upload shapefiles or raster data sets and then just find them and download them again. I'm talking to them, they are looking ahead in the future to providing online dynamic mapping, WMS, WFS and things like that. But that would actually be quite a lot more expensive for them to run because they'd have to support the traffic that we would suddenly start using for them. So I don't know. Some people put up data sets there that are available to buy, access, and so you can, rather than try and set up your own e-commerce system for a data set that has a commercial value, you can use them as an agent to deliver that information. Next one. The Open Data Catalogue came out of, I think, some discussions at GovIS last year and on the web generally. And this was, the government isn't doing anything about getting their data online, so we'll do it anyway. So it's a sort of parallel thing to the data.govt. I think you will find other data sets that aren't GOVT data sets here. So it's a bit more of a public sphere, pull in anything we think is useful type of information. And again, it's worth a browse around. There's some gems in there. And they are, it's very simple user interface there. The metadata, it said in order to get people to give us out their data, or at least point us to where we might be able to find it, we're not going to ask people to do a lot of data entry. So really it's just what it is and where it is, and nothing more complicated than that. The next one. So this isn't really a metadata catalogue, but I threw it in there because I think the Encyclopedia of New Zealand, which is part of the archives and libraries, is where we're headed, I think when you look through this and you start to see interpreted information, and a lot of the stuff we have for biodata, this sort of information, I think if I was a member of the public, this is where I would eventually expect to be able to find it. Because I don't necessarily know that there are government organisations that store these things and you have to register and all the rest of it. I think we'll start to use this sort of portal as a way of, first of all, going down through to the directories, the metadata catalogues, and then maybe following links out to the actual data itself. And the next one. Statusphere is the Statistics New Zealand website. It's all been freshly revamped and is a joy to use compared to a lot of other countries' statistical pages. It is very good. It is very easy to find stuff now, and you can slice and dice statistics very effectively. So you can ask for some of the big data sets you can actually analyze online and then pull out the stuff that you're interested in. It's the next one. Final one, Digital New Zealand. Again, not directly relevant, but I like it. It's an archive of digital content, movies, photographs, things like that. And so I'm just going to beg the question there as to whether some of the data that we're generating counts as digital content. That might be generally interesting. The other thing that all of these sites have in common, I think, is that as you'll see this, we've got an RSS feed. So if you're running a system that tells people that is adding new data sets, new metadata records, you need ways to tell people about them. So an RSS feed allows people to subscribe to your website and say, oh look, there's some new information come out, I'll follow that up. Twitter feeds, you can debate whether Twitter is just a fad or whether it's a serious tool, but I certainly found out about some of these sites through listening to people I respect on Twitter saying, hey, this has just come out, it's good, go and have a look at it. So again, you can set up keywords on Twitter and just look out for people talking about subjects that interest you. I follow Auckland Super City comments and also sort of environmental sustainability comments.